So this is my Rambo Last Blood spoiler review. If you have not seen this movie, there's going to be full spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen it and you won't see it, I wouldn't recommend you watch this video because I'm going to be going into full spoilers. So you've been warned. Spoiler warning. So the movie kicks off and we just see Rambo kind of hanging out on his ranch with this woman who we never actually find out where she comes from. I'm assuming she was kind of like either Gabriella's nana or she was just some kind of family relation because she lets on that she's known her entire life. And Gabriella's there as well. And then we find out Rambo's got these huge tunnels underneath the entire ranch where he likes to spend his time. And Gabrielle says, "Oh, I'm going over to my friend's house to have a party." And he goes, "Oh, no, get them over here." She goes, "Oh, no, last time people were here, you stared at them and made them uncomfortable." He goes, "Oh, okay, you guys can hang out in my tombs." And she goes, "But no one liked, you don't let anyone in your tombs." He goes, "I'll make the exception." So they come over, have a party in the tombs, and after she's cleaning up inside. And she says to Rambo, "I want to go find my father." He kind of shuts that down. They have a talk, and then she goes, "Okay, I won't." And then the next morning, she's on her way out, and she's talking to that woman. And she's saying, "Oh, no, I am going to my father." And then Rambo and her come in. Rambo comes in there to the discussion. She goes, "Okay, I won't." Rambo's out on the horses and she goes, "Okay, bye, I'm going over to my friend's house." And she drives off and she goes to go see her father who's in Mexico. And she goes to her friends who she known from years ago, and they kind of say it before that she's only a black girl and he brings trouble. So she goes hang out with her, and then she goes and meets her father, and she says to her father, they're having a nice conversation, like, "It kind of seems to you that, like, oh, he might have changed, he seems like a nice man." And then she says to him, "Why did you leave us?" And all of a sudden he just snaps like that. He literally goes, a nice guy, to getting up really close to her face and getting in her face saying, "Well, your mother went and died and left me with you, and I never wanted you to begin with. Like, I got to the stage where I didn't even like being around you two." So that shows how much of a bad guy he was. And she leaves in tears, and he shows my friend, I want to go home." Your friend goes, "No, no, 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 don't go home. You're in a bad place right now. Let's go out and get a party." So they go out, and obviously that's when the whole taken situation happens, when she gets kidnapped. And it's never said, but it's extremely obvious that her friend kind of drugged her and put her in that situation for her to be abducted. And the whole thing with her friend pretty much selling her out, like, for I don't know what she got. I can't imagine she got a lot of money for her. But then Rambo finds out that, oh, she's down in Mexico. So she goes down, and Rambo's talking to the girl and saying, "Where is she?" And she goes, "Oh, I don't know, she went home." And then Rambo sees the bracelet that is kind of shown once or twice at the start of the movie, that we find out that was actually her mother's bracelet. And Rambo loses shit, like, she wouldn't just give this away to anyone. So he takes her to the bar to find out. And we find out that through this, that she did, it's not like this, she just disappeared. She kind of, I'm assuming, she obviously sold her friend off to these people, or just kind of gave them to her for whatever money she was able to get. And it was kind of horrible to see this, because this is actually a thing that is happening in the world. Like, as I'm recording this, more than likely a situation like this is playing out in the world. If not this, or something, just like something could happen yesterday or will happen tomorrow. Because this stuff does happen in the world, so it's kind of horrible to watch this actually play out on screen, because just knowing that this kind of stuff does happen in this world. So then when she takes Rambo to the club, we find out Rambo kind of runs into the guy that she sold him into, and it was brutal. He takes him out, like, he goes outside, and he's actually in the situation that plays out. The guy who Rambo is chasing is actually going to bring a girl back to the place, and Rambo kind of saves that girl, and he beats him. As I said in my non-spoiler review, there's a brutal scene beside a car. Rambo, remember, he stabs him in the leg, and he puts his finger in his shoulder, and he pulls out his bone and he snaps it. And that's the scene I could not watch, because it was absolutely brutal to watch. Hearing the guy scream, and the bone, it looked so real being pulled out. Like, even right now, it feels mad to think that this was happening. So he takes him out, and the guy brings Rambo to the main base of this place. So he goes there, and Rambo's making his way upstairs, and about 30 to 40 lads follow him. And as he gets up, he's face to face with the guy. I don't think it was the guy who took his daughter, or his daughter and niece, but the guy is in charge, and the guy takes Rambo's big knife that he's had since the first movie. He takes his gun and he cuts Rambo right down the face. And it was like, when he did it first, I didn't think he actually cut him. I thought he just kind of pretended like to scare him. But then Rambo's on the ground, you see it cut. I think it's going like this, and then all the lads just start beating him, punching him, and kicking him and punching him. And Rambo's he's barely speaking. He's just saying, like, let her go," and it looked hard to see, especially because Stallone is a 70-year-old man, and he's still, like, I know it's a movie, but that guy's built, and he's just massive. To see him on the ground like that, cut up, and the guy goes, "Oh, so this is your girl," and he cuts like, I thought it was an X on his face, but it's actually a V for whoever, I can't remember his name, but it's like his mark. And then he goes, "We're gonna cut it on the girl." So then he takes the girl out and he uses an example of her. He shows Rambo's, I think it was his driving license, and then cuts her in the face. And to see her screaming, you could see the fear in that girl's face. She plays extremely well the fear aspect, because you actually believe that she is terrified for what the whole situation she's in, which is fair enough, because anyone would be terrified in this situation. It'd be a bit odd if you were not terrified to be in that situation. And then as Rambo's on the ground dying, this woman comes up who she's a reporter, and it's a bit she doesn't really serve much of a purpose. The only purpose she has is to get Rambo from A to B, and there's no, like, you could take her out of this movie and just kind of have Rambo. There's a way of not having her in this movie. I think they already did this. It's just to have someone helping Rambo. Like, there's no real purpose to her character. She really is just an exposition character just to fill the audience in of what's going to happen, because her sister died of overdosing, which, as we know, if you've seen the movie, Rambo's daughter slash niece dies from overdosing in this movie because they're injecting her before every time someone goes into her. So that kind of foreshadows, like, people overdose, people die. So it's just kind of letting you know that Rambo's daughter probably will die. So that's the only real purpose of having this character. I can't even remember her name, but it's the only purpose of having her in this movie is so we know that Gabriella might die of overdose, and so Rambo can find the location of Gabriella and just kind of repair Rambo's face. That's the only real plot but this girl has to this movie. So she didn't overly serve a purpose. Like, you could have taken her out and just had a different way of Rambo finding out this information. Like, maybe he just looked into it himself or something instead of someone just telling him. So there wasn't a major, because after she tells him where Gabriella is, we never actually hear from her. We never see from her again. So it's a bit mad. But then Rambo goes in. He kind of sneaks in and goes, "Oh, I'm looking for a girl, a young one." They let her in, and there's 3 lads, and Rambo just takes a hammer and he smashes them all in the head, kills them, and goes upstairs and goes into every single room looking for Gabriella. He kills every lad in the room as they're there, and then he says the girls go, and they're all terrified to death that they won't leave. And he comes across her, and she's got the V inside of her face, and her arm all here, just like all injections, and her lips are all dried out. And he carries her out, and he goes, "You're safe, you're safe." And I thought another action sequence was going to happen there, but no, he gets her out to the car and they drive home, and you can see the life fading from her face, and Rambo saying, "No, just keep your eyes up and keep talking, we're going to get home, I'm going to take care of you." And he's just talking to her, he's just pouring his life and soul into talking to her just to try keep her awake, and you see a tear dripping down her face, and then her hand just slips off his hand and she's dead. And then Stallone plays this scene very well where he's just crying. He's like, it should have been me, hands in the steering wheel, and he's just crying so much, and Stallone plays this incredibly well. So then when he gets back to the ranch, they bury Gabriella, and Rambo's like, "I need revenge." So he goes back to Mexico. He goes into, there's two brothers to kind of organize the whole thing. He goes to one of their houses. He kills about, I think it was 4 or 5 lads with a knife, and then the main brother is in the shower, and we never actually see anything, but we know because they then jump straight over to a crime scene, and again the gang, they go upstairs to see the guy's dead body. It's his headless body connected to his bed with a knife in his chest with the picture of Gabriella, so they know, oh, it's Rambo. So they all start making their way to Rambo, but before we see Rambo driving home, and he just drops the guy's head out of his car, and I was like, okay, because I was expecting to see the head there and the body missing, but no, we have Rambo takes the head with him, drops it out of the car. But before all this, Rambo was preparing for this whole situation of a Home Alone situation, as I said in my review. So you see it, and the stuff he makes is brutal. So they all come there, and it's about 30-40 lads, and about 10 cars pull up, and a huge explosion happens, and fire ring all around the place, and they're all looking for Rambo. And because of his tunnels, he's popping up, shooting them and killing them, so they all know, oh, he's down here, so they go into him, and they all go into the tunnels, which is probably the biggest mistake they had, because it was a brutal scene from this point onwards, because he kills people left, right and centre, and he kills everyone except the other brother, and it's a brutal way, and he ends up in the end with a gunshot just about here and the other one through the shoulder, and he's saying to the guy, he powers all the lights off, he's about to explode all his tunnels, and he says, "Follow the lights and you'll get your way out," because I could have killed you 10 times, but I didn't, because I wanted you to be the last one, and I want you to feel like I was, to get your heart ripped out. So the guy runs out through all the lights, and he ends up in the barn. And Rambo, of course, because you see him training with the bow and arrow, I was thinking, when's he going to use the bow and arrow? He hasn't used it yet, and he comes out from the corner, and he shoots him with bow and arrow, 1 here, 2 arrows, and he goes, the other ones were in his legs or his side, I can't really remember. But then he goes up and he cuts a line going down here and down here, and he pulls the guy's heart out. He holds it in his hand. You could still hear the heart beating, and you see the life coming out of the guy's face. And I'm like, geez, that was. I didn't think we'd see that in this movie. I know Rambo movies are brutal, but that whole scene was absolutely brutal to watch. And then the movie ends, and we see Rambo going up the stairs, sitting on his rocking chair, and he's just holding his side, and his chair's rocking back and forth, and you see the life kind of going out his face. But what you think is happening, but then they go to the credits, and then you see all the clips of like Rambo 1, Rambo 2, Rambo 3, Rambo 4, and then it ends. You start seeing clips from this movie. I'm like, okay, it's probably is the end. But then you see Rambo hop on his horse, and he just rides out there, keeping it open. So if Stallone wants to come and do another one, he can come do another one. If he doesn't, that's the ending of Rambo, just going off in the horse to somewhere and bleed out. Like, he could die there, but he might not die there, because in Rambo 3, we seen what he did when a bullet wound. He just put gunpowder on it, and he was okay. I know they're trying to get away from all the kind of silliness, same with what the Rocky franchise did. They kind of stepped away from Rocky 4 and went back to the serious. So Rambo's kind of doing the same thing, but he could survive. You don't know until it actually happens. But that's my spoiler review of Rambo. If you did enjoy this spoiler review, let me know down below if you enjoyed the movie, what you liked, what you didn't like. Click subscribe so you can see other kind of videos like this. And as always, thanks for watching.